Alright, today guys, we're going to learn how to actually design a field using Cutta software. What we're in right now, we're in actual Cutta, we're not in Design. So the first thing we're going to do, if we're going to start fresh and drive the field to collect survey elevation, we'd just go right here and go to Wizard, and we'd go to the collect stage. We're not going to do that in this example because we already have some designs made. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to right here, this load project, and we're going to click on it once it pulls up. Alright, we'll give it just a second here. For this example, we're going to use activity 1, this one right here. I'm going to click on it and click OK. Okay, now what you see is I've already got some stuff here. We're going to walk through each step. So what we've done, let's say we've already collected our data. Let's go back and let's say we want to add to it or delete some points. We click on this collect stage and we click start. Now that's going to say that because we don't have any GPS hooked up. We click OK and we've got delete or add. So what we're going to do is we're going to add to the points. Get rid of that. Here is what our field looks like that we just drove and surveyed. What we could do is we could delete some points, we could add some more if we wanted to hook everything up and go survey a little more. But for this, let's say we're happy with our survey. We're going to go right up here and we're going to click return. Okay, so we've already been to this collect step. The next step we're going to do is we're going to put a surface on our elevation points. So we're going to click surface like we did, and we're going to click start. Okay, here's our field. And what we're going to do here is we're going to put a surface on it. So we're going to go to the surface tab and we're going to click it. It takes it just a second. Okay, it's processing it now. This is what our elevation surface looks like. So what we can tell here, the red would be our low spots, the really dark blue would be our high spots. Okay, if we're happy with this, the way it looks, there's no holes, no gaps, everything looks good, we'll come up right up here and we're going to hit return. And yes, we're going to keep this surface, we're happy with it. Okay, now that opened up our design tab. So we're going to actually click on design, and for this example we're going to use a plane of best fit. Okay, there's our field. Now you see all these options we've got over here. We're going to start at the top and we're going to work our way down. So what we're going to do is we're going to manually set our slope. I don't want the system to calculate it for me. So what I'm going to do is I want this field, let's say I want it to fall to the south. So 180 degrees is south. We're going to click OK. And let's say I want our slope at 1/10. We'll put in 0.1 for a tenth. We'll click OK. Now what this secondary slope is this is if we want any cross slope. For this particular field we don't want any, so I'm going to make sure that I pick the set slope, and it is 0. Make sure it is 0. Okay. Okay. The only other thing we're going to do here is I'm going to make sure my cut fill ratio is 1.2. Now that's going to be determined by the dirt to be moved and the ground conditions, but for this example we're going to use 1.2. Okay. Now once we do that, we're going to come down here and we're going to hit apply to apply this design to this field. It's going to take just a second. Okay, this is what it looks like before we create a cut fill map on it. This is kind of what our design surface would look like. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go up here and we're going to click create cut fill. Okay, this is what our cut fill map looks like. The way I remember this is that all this down here, the purple, that's going to be all of our cuts. This green up here is going to be our fill. And if you see as I move my mouse down at our elevation, it shows our lat long, our design surface elevation, and our cut fill map, how deeper a cut or a fill we have. If we're happy with that, We'll hit this return button. It's going to ask us, do we want to keep the surface? Yes, because I'm happy with it. Okay. Now what you see now is this brought up the apply button. Let's hit apply, and we're going to hit start. That's going to pop up every time. It's just saying, hey, that if you do have it hooked up to a tractor and remote control selected, it's going to take over and do it for you. Okay, like I said earlier, we do not have GPS, so I'm going to click OK. That's fine. Now, if it was hooked up and running, we would have our lat long, we'd have all sorts of numbers popping up in here. So I'm going to close this for right now. Okay, the only other thing now that we like to do is, if we're going to plug it in a tractor, all we do is we take our USB to serial port connector. We would have already plugged it up to our computer, set it in our mount, and once we got out the field, we go to our flag neutrals, and we come up here and we'd set a 0, and we go to our application controller setup, which is on another video, and we'd set our 0 there as well. And guys, that pretty much covers how we would design a field using Cutta.